fluency and have always been impressed with his sincerity and dedication to helping students and their families. As I mentioned earlier, Mr. Fruget was set to retire over a year ago, but when the pandemic hit, he decided to not leave me, our students, or our district. More recently, he was then set to retire about a month ago. And when asked once again just to give us a little bit more time, he gave us another month. He graciously agreed to that. However, it's obvious now in my most recent conversations with him that I've run out of favors. When I've asked him as recent as this morning if he wasn't reconsidering, his comment has just been he's going to watch football. But please help me in congratulating Coach Mr. Steve Fruget for his dedication and years of service to the Lafayette Parish School System. Here comes you. Absolutely.
Hang on a second, I think it wants to.
I hope I don't start and talk forever and we'll be here an hour or so for my conversation. But I just wanted to mention to you all when I got out of college, I had a choice to go and either work for a shell oil company or become a teacher. And what I decided to do, I say, well, I want to get involved in teaching because I wanted to be able to help students succeed. And so my 43 years is just to I dedicated myself just to help students go beyond whatever it is that they need to go beyond. And so this is why, I've been here at least 43 years, and I wanted to just thank Lafayette Parish School System for giving me that opportunity to help students succeed. I want to thank each and every one of you. And I have a long list of names, but I don't want to go through all these names. I just want to mention that Ernest Neighbors gave me a chance as a 22-year-old student, 22-year-old teacher to teach students, and I've been here ever since. I also want to thank Janet Hyde for encouraging me to go and work on my master's in administration. And I want to thank her for that. I also, would like to thank Dr. Leonard, Dr. Smirsall. Those are all the principals that I have come in contact with throughout my years. And I also want to thank my staff. Without a good staff, I have two with me, Tahana Francis, Melissa Keller. They really dedicated. I know we've dealt with a lot of difficult students, throughout our time, with especially with child welfare and attendance. Those two young ladies really dedicated and do a good job, far as with truancy, and then they also work with doing hearings. And again, I want to thank all my staff because we had to deal with a lot of difficult students, throughout our time in child welfare and attendance. And once again, I don't want to stay forever because I can tell you all kinds of stories and all that stuff. I don't want to go through all that stuff. But once again, I want to thank Lafayette Parish School System, Dr. Aguilar and Ms. Trustclair, in trusting me to, I guess, be successful, work, successfully with child welfare and attendance. Thanks again. Okay, appreciate it.
Mr. Fugere, every time I see you, I think discipline, because when my first year as school board member, I served on the discipline committee. So whenever I see you down the hall, I think about discipline. Thank you for your service. Okay. Dr. Sasha?
Thank you, ma'am. Really quickly, I just wanted to tell Coach thank you. I love you, man. You know that. Coach actually coached me at Northside. And he was one of the few coaches. Coaches were really tough on you back then, but he was the few coaches that could get his point across without calling you a name or bringing you down. And he brought that same mentality to central office. I remember a year ago, Coach said he was ready to retire, and I'm asking him to, Coach, just wait, just take your time, Coach, give us one more year. And I watched Ms. Trostclair do it as well. And then again, a month ago, Coach is ready to retire, and well, Coach, it's the start of the school year, and it's COVID, and kids are coming back, and Coach gave us another month, and I physically watched Ms. Trostclair ask him about a week ago, Coach, can we get maybe? Coach is just laughing. Coach, I appreciate you, man. We all have difference of opinions, and Coach may be one of very, very few people here that I can think of that I have never once ever gotten upset, mad, argued with. I'll call Coach. Coach, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? And Coach will explain it to you. And I mean, he's your coach. You're gonna accept it, but Coach, Timmy, it's gonna be all right. The kid's gonna be back in school in 30 days, and it's gonna be all right. And I appreciate you, man, for everything that you do. You've been giving time to us kids for a very long time, and you've still been giving it to us, Coach. And you give it to us freely, and I appreciate you, and I love you, man.
Okay, our next item is item 1.5, recognition of Billy Guidry, Assistant Superintendent, Business Services.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. At this time, I would like to recognize Mr. Billy Guidry, our Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. Mr. Guidry oversees the staffs of the following departments: Budget and Accounting, Finance, Purchasing, Sales Tax, School Accounting, Planning, Facilities, Maintenance, Ground and Custodial, Warehouse, and Print Shop. Since 2007, when Mr. Guidry was hired, of April of that year, our annual budgets have totaled over $7.1 billion. Since 2007, Mr. Guidry and the Business Services Division have collaborated with counsel and underwriters on 8 separate bond issuances totaling over $250 million. Proceeds from bond sales have been used for projects such as construction of Southside High School, BO Elementary, school wing additions and renovations, the new ROTC buildings, air conditioning of 17 middle and high school gyms, roof projects, and the Como High Performing Arts Instructional Suite and Theater, just to cite a few projects. The groundwork has been completed to begin the construction of a new Lafayette High School, Prairie Elementary, and Carencro Heights Elementary. Additionally, in 2021, the Lafayette Parish School System's debt rating increased to AA1, which is the highest rating held in the state of Louisiana for a school board. Annually, the Business Services Division publishes the comprehensive annual report at year end. The report has been awarded the Government Finance Officer Association Certification of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting and the Association of School Business Officials Certification of Excellence in Financial Reporting for the past 28 years, 14 of those years under Mr. Guidry's leadership. External audit reports for the past 14 years have all expressed an unqualified opinion, with audit findings prior going from 4 question cost findings and 19 audit findings in 2007 to 0 question cost findings and 1 audit finding in 2020. During that same time, the LPSS fund balance has grown from $6.1 million to $66.4 million. Finally, Mr. Guidry was responsible with the structure, reorganization of the school accounting, sales tax, and transportation departments. It has been indeed a pleasure working alongside with Mr. Guidry over the course of the last several years, and our district is grateful for your service and will miss you tremendously. Congratulations, Mr. Guidry.
Thank you, Superintendent Irmer, for the recognition of some of the many accomplishments that our business services divisions has been a major contribution or a contributing department to. We're very thankful for that. With regards to thanking Business Services Division work family, thank you for all the work that you've done over the years, especially that work that falls under that line item and other job responsibilities as assigned. That seems to capture a lot of the special projects that you have been asked to work on, and for which you have done a very good job. Thank you for my daily doses of vitamin C, which is customer service, collaboration, and compromise. Very much appreciated. And one last thanks for the good morning greetings in the morning, the smiling faces, and your patience. It's something that I never took for granted, and I appreciate it considerably. I read recently where as you get closer to retirement, the importance of life, your life away from work increases. You notice it more. And I feel I was blessed from the standpoint that I came to that recognition much earlier on, before I even considered retirement. And the main contributing factor, at least for me, for that, is my family, who have joined me this evening. My wife, Paula, my oldest daughter, Katie, youngest daughter, Allie, my sister in the back, arriving just a little late but on time according to her schedule, and my son-in-law, who's also sitting in the back. I'm a little disappointed that my next boss. I wanted to introduce you to her. It's not here. I think there was a conflict with her napping schedule. But over the years, supervisors, to me anyway, as I've gotten older, appear to be much, much younger. And here's a case where a 4-month-old will be the supervisor, hopefully, of my next position as I look forward to being drafted to the, I say drafted, qualifying to be included on the listing for her babysitting rotation. One of the things that I'm very excited about and am looking forward to wholeheartedly. I guess in concluding, my retirement is going to be filled with gratitude, as you can tell by the gratitude I've extended here this evening, and with confidence. When I look at the team that will be handling the transition, I feel very confident that that transition will be just about seamless. And I also feel confident that the group of people we have in place will take the Business Services Division and just continue to improve on the efficiencies and the success of its operations. I think that's evident in the individuals who have been promoted into the new positions in terms of my replacement and so on and so forth. And that is something I'm very excited about because when you look at the amount of time that everyone has and effort that everyone has put in, that has exerted towards not only getting us to where we are, but formulating a plan on where we're going next and how to make it better. And when you feel confident that a retirement of someone will have little to no impact on that, I think it's a reflection of the collaboration that I mentioned to you earlier, where a lot of individuals have to get together and basically remain focused on what's best for the school district and what's best for the employees of the Business Services Division, who is a very integral portion or part of that school system. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Mr. Guidry did stop by the office a little while ago and thought that it would be nice that after his recognition, I would tell him he could go home. But I reviewed the agenda and I wasn't comfortable with that, Mr. Guidry, so we're going to need you to stay.
Thank you, Mr. Guidry, for everything. You're so helpful to all the board members, and whenever we call you for things, you're just so up to date on everything, and you really make our jobs a whole lot easier. So thank you for your service to this board and everything you've done for us over the years. Thank you so much. Okay, at this time, oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Sasha.
I owe you this, sir. So I wanted to, and I told you I would do it today, because I have to. I got on this board and I was 29 years old. And since 2010, I've been going to Billy and asking Billy a million questions, just a million, just things that I thought I understood that I really didn't, things that I did. And he told me today, he said, no, for the most part, you had it. I'm like, yeah, I had it after I asked you a million times. Billy has the most unique way of telling you you're wrong without telling you that you're wrong. And I'd like to give everyone an example. Ask Billy a question. I'm positive I got it. There's money here, and we should be able to use it. Well, Dr. Chasson, that's not quite right. And then I ask it in a different way because I'm positive. And, well, technically speaking, basically Billy's telling me, you're wrong, you can't use the money, don't use it. Billy is one of the few people. I was telling the superintendent that today, along with Coach, that I just never got mad at, never get upset with. And then I thought to myself, I said, man, wait, hold on a second. I did get upset at Billy one time. Billy told me that I was trying to figure out that there's a loan forgiveness program that if you're serving public service of some sort, and me and Billy are going back and forth because Billy's telling me, well, technically speaking, you don't meet the criteria. But I'm like, Billy, that's a lot of school loans I got, man. I need to apply for this, man. He was like, but I said, Billy, I got a federal ID. I'm an employee. Well, Billy, I get a check from the school system. And he was just telling me the truth. He was just being honest with me, and I love him for that. Billy has made me look really smart for many years. Billy has made me look really smart, guys, like really smart. Like you get up here and you say recurring fund balance and 1 million of this and equals 17 million of that, and oh well, you can do this with that money, and oh hey, well no, that's supplanting. You can't do this, and the only reason I can talk about it somewhat intelligently is because Billy just taught it to me 2 hours before the meeting. As I've bothered him during his daily chores. And with that being said, on a final note, today I call Billy and I get some more tutelage. And we joke for a second and I say, hey, Billy, so this is the last meeting for you, huh? He said, yep. I said, Billy, this is the last time I can call you before a meeting to get the insight and knowledge that I need. And he says, yep. I said, so what's next? He said, well, you can call me next week. I said, oh, Billy, I appreciate it. I said, when do you retire? He said, next week. I said, okay, Billy. So if I sound intelligent on some money matters, it's only because I'm calling Billy at home to ask him. And Billy said, you got my cell phone number? You call me, I'd be happy to explain it to you. So I appreciate you, sir. Love you, man.
Thank you, Dr. Chaston. Okay, next, I would like to ask if we have any added agenda items that we need to add.
Madam President, I'd like to ask that the board adds to the agenda salary schedule revisions, related budget revisions, and athletic trainer / CTIE teacher job description.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Bye. Okay, our next items is information items. We'll have personnel changes September 1st, 2021. Mr. Mouton?
Good afternoon to Ms. Trosclair, Ms. Morrison, and the board. I do have some introductions this evening to make. The first introduction I have the pleasure of making is Mr. Christopher Broussard. Mr. Broussard is our new Director of Career and Technical Education. Mr. Broussard has 31 years of experience as an educator. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Agriculture Education from Louisiana State University and a Master's of Education in Administration from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Mr. Broussard has worked as an agriculture instructor for the St. Mary Parish School Board, an agriculture welding instructor for the Iberia Parish Career Center, an assistant principal of the Iberia Parish Career Center, principal of the Iberia Parish Career Center, and most recently, the Iberia Parish Career and Technical Education Supervisor. Mr. Broussard looks forward to expanding the offerings for students in the area of career and technical education in the Lafayette Parish school system. Once again, Mr. Christopher Broussard, the new Director of Career and Technical Education.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I'd like to start off by saying thank you to LPSS administration for giving me this opportunity. I'm very excited to take this role. I would like to see Lafayette Parish continue its strong history of combining academic and technical skills with knowledge and training necessary for today's labor markets. We have many assets here, including our high school programs, our highly competitive magnet academies, and our career center. My intent is to facilitate continued growth as we help our students in preparation for the workforce, community college, and higher education. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank my wife for being here tonight as well, supporting me in this transition. Thank y'all.
Next up, we have Dr. Buffy Fagenbush. She is the new Transformation Zone School Administrator. Dr. Fagenbush has 30 years of experience as an educator. She earned her Bachelor's of Education from Kentucky University, a Master's in School Guidance, and a +30 from Nichols State University, a specialist degree in educational leadership from Northwestern State University, and her Doctor of Education from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Dr. Fagenbush has worked as a 6th and 7th grade teacher at Berwick Junior High, a guidance counselor at Centerville High. She's been the principal of Berwick High School, an adjunct professor at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and most recently, the Secondary Instructional Career and Technical Education Supervisor for the St. Mary Parish School System. It is Dr. Fagenbush's desire to assist Lafayette Parish with making systematic changes that are data-driven and sustainable. Dr. Buffy Fagenbush.
Mr. Mouton, can you come introduce me every place I go? That's wonderful. Thank you. It's pretty amazing. I want to thank you for the opportunity to work at the Lafayette Parish School System, particularly to work in the Transformation Zone. Since July, I've been boots on the ground with Ms. Hippolyte, and under her guidance and with the support of other district administrators, I want to thank them for the easy transition that's happened. It's without them, with their support, I could not have done that. I do believe in data. I do believe in systemic change that makes sustainable practices. So working with our school families in the Transformation Zone together and with everyone else's support, we know that we can make a change for the emotional and academic needs of our students. So I thank you so much for the opportunity.
Next up is Anthony Mouton. He is our new Director of Finance. Mr. Mouton is a certified public accountant with 13 years of experience and has been a senior accountant with the Lafayette Parish School System since 2013. He has worked as a supervisor for AutoZone Distribution, a senior accountant at A&R manager for the Dallas County Community College District, a controller for the Daily Advertiser, and most recently, the payroll coordinator for the Lafayette Parish School System. Mr. Mouton is a member of the Louisiana Association of School Business Officials, the Government Finance Officers Association of Louisiana, and the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. Mr. Anthony Mouton, Director of Finance.
Ms. Trosclair, Board. My name is Anthony Mouton, and I would like to express my gratitude in receiving this promotion. Initially, I want to thank Superintendent Irma Trosclair for entrusting me to bear the responsibilities and obligations of this crucial position. I want to thank Billy Guidry and Matt Duga for also considering me for this leadership role. Since the beginning, they have acknowledged my capabilities and envisioned one day that I would need to step up in this organization. As the new Director of Finance, I intend to apply my skill sets that have proven to be successful throughout my career. I understand that I too have big shoes to fill, but I believe that Ms. Trosclair has chosen the right person for the job. I also want to thank my wife and my family for being here, for giving me support throughout this transition as well. Thank you.
And we have one more name this evening, Mr. Matthew Duga, the new Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. Mr. Duga has 35 years of experience as a certified public accountant and 26 years experience as the Director of Finance for the Lafayette Parish School System. He has worked as a staff accountant for McElroy, Quirk, and CO in Lake Charles, an audit senior at Broussard, Poche, Lewis, and Breaux in Lafayette, a senior accountant at Louisiana Foods in Opelousas, and, as stated, has been the Director of Finance for the Lafayette Parish School System. In addition to being a CPA, Mr. Duga is also a certified Louisiana School Business official and has served as the President, Vice President, and Board member of the Louisiana Association of School Business Officials. He has also been an integral part of helping LPSS achieve its AA1 bond rating, which, as stated earlier, is the highest credit score or bond rating a Louisiana school board can receive. Once again, Mr. Matthew Duga, new Assistant Superintendent of Business Services.
Mr. President, board members, superintendent, and staff, I humbly accept the position of Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. In my 26 years of service as Director of Finance for the system, I have learned a lot and hope to use that knowledge to serve this school system with a high level of professionalism and provide the leadership that will take Business Services Division to the next level of performance. I would like to thank all the people who made it possible for me to be here, standing here tonight. First, I would like to thank the superintendent for putting her trust in my ability to lead this division. We share many management philosophies, and I really look forward to both learning from her and working with her. And that's very sincere. I would like to thank Mr. Guidry and his leadership, his patience, and his guidance for the past 14 years, but most of all, I would really like to thank him for giving me his personal cell phone number so I can call him when I need. I would like to thank my staff, my co-workers, for all the support and hard work they've allowed me to achieve many of the accomplishments I've had in the past 26 years. Could not have done it without them. Finally, I would like to thank my family for all the support and encouragement they have provided. My parents are still living, but they're in their 90s and could not make it here tonight. However, my daughter Taylor, who's a graduate of Lafayette High, my son-in-law Daniel, and his mother Nancy, and I must admit, it's biased, the most precious and smartest grandson in the world, Camden James, is here tonight. And could you please stand? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Okay. Our next item is item 2.2, monthly facilities updates. Mr. Borderlaw? What? Mr. Mouton? Oh, hang on, Mr. Borderlaw. Mr. Santani has a question for Mr. Duga. I'm sorry, Mr. Mouton.
No, for Mr. Mouton.
Mr. Mouton.
I didn't realize we had,
Which one?
oh,
Yeah.
the one for personnel. It's a personnel question,
Will
not a
the real
money
Mr.
question.
Mouton please stand up?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask a hypothetical question related to personnel. Let's say we have an employee who has enough years to retire, and they get notice that they will be terminated soon. Can you explain to me if it's possible for that employee to subsequently retire after receiving that notice of termination?
Yes, sir. According to board policy and certain laws in reference to employment, you must notify employees within a certain amount of time of pending disciplinary action. So, in other words, if someone is going to be terminated, they receive notice first before the actual termination comes. So if in between that time you receive notice of pending disciplinary action and disciplinary action actually happens, if you have the years to retire, then that is an option for you.
Thank you for explaining.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mouton. Mr. Bordelon?
Good evening, members of the board. Kyle Bordelon, Director of Planning and Facilities. Included in your packet is the construction update. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those at this time.
Madam President, may I ask a question?
Ms. LeBeau?
Mr. Bordelon, this isn't in your packet, but I know there was some exchange of emails about the Drexel Pavilion that had already been funded, but we were waiting for confirmation of the location, if it was still going to be where those portables were removed. Do we need to move that forward, or is that already in the process of being bid out and selected?
It's already in the process.
Okay, so
Yes,
no
ma'am.
further action needs to be taken?
No
or
further
emails?
action.
Okay,
No,
just
ma'am.
making sure. Thank you.
Any other questions, board members? Okay, thank you, Mr. Bordelon. Okay, now we're going to move to the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, I have one more. List of bids approved to be advertised by the superintendent. Mr. Guidry?
We have one this month, which is also listed for bid award. It's a standard monthly presentation to the board. I would ask if there are any questions at this time.
Board members, do you have any questions? Ms. LeBeau?
I apologize. I probably should have asked Kyle this, but Billy, maybe you can help me. I know there was a bid that came back too high for painting of the exterior of Drexel. Has that been rebid? I know it's not on this agenda item, but it's a facility/bid question.
Yeah, I'll defer to Kyle
Okay.
on that one as to
I
providing.
apologize. I meant to ask that
That's
earlier.
okay, no problem.
Could you repeat that, Ms. LeBeau?
I know that we had bid out, I think it's the repainting of the exterior of Drexel, and I know that the bid came back too high, and so we were resubmitting that out, and I just need to know where where we are in the process.
We have rebid that, and I think I brought that to the board last meeting or meeting before. We've issued a purchase order, and we're in the process of getting that started up.
Wonderful. Yeah, I had COVID last meeting, so I missed that. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Board members, I'll read each item. If you'd like to pull an item, please do so. All items not pulled will be voted on in globo. So I'll go ahead and start with item 3.1, discussion and or action concerning Resolution 09-21-2009, dedication of Acadiana High Athletic Field House in the name of Dave Clavier.
Pull it.
Okay, this is Mr. Lachele. Item 3.2, discussion or action concerning resolution number 0921-2010, dedication of Avicomo High School track in the name of Thomas Nolan.
Pull that, please.
Okay, is that Ms. LeBeau? Item 3.3, discussion or action concerning Broussard Middle School locker quotes. 3.4, discussion or action concerning selection of voluntary benefits dental insurance carrier. 3.5, discussion or action concerning revision of the Magnet Academies procedure.
You pull it.
3.6, discussion on our action concerning budget revision for bleachers, concrete pads, home and visitor sides at Carencro High School baseball field. 3.7, discussion or action concerning proposed plan of reorganization of staff and changes in job descriptions related to thereto.
Pull it.
Item 3.8, discussion or action concerning revisions, the payroll coordinator, webmaster, and director of child welfare and attendance job descriptions.
Pull it.
3.9, discussion or action concerning reclassification and job description revisions for the content instructional coach. 3.10, discussion or action concerning 2021-2022 staff allocation formulas and guidelines booklet. 3.11, discussion or action concerning proposed plan of reorganization of staff in the early childhood department and related changes in the job description.
Pull it.
3.12, discussion or action concerning the newly created Migrate Education Program Facilitator, Instructional Technology Coordinator, Federal, and Content Instructional Coach, Federal job descriptions.
Pull it.
3.13, discussion or action concerning reclassification budget and job description revisions for the accountability data and policy specialists. 3.14, discussion on our action concerning clerical assistant staffing allocation adjustment and budget revision for same. 3.15, discussion and our action concerning budget revision for replacement of Truman Early Childhood Center. 3.16, discussion and our action concerning budget revision allocation for Lafayette Online Academy, additions and improvements.
Pull that, please.
3.17, discussion or action concerning approval of quotes for Elio Judice Elementary pavilion replacement and budget revision for Hurricane Delta repairs and replacements. 3.18, discussion and or action concerning approval of bids and budget transfers for district office building roof replacement. 3.19, discussion and or action concerning approval of quotes for fire alarm system and elevator monitoring. 3.20, discussion and or action concerning request qualifications, RFQ, for a construction manager at risk, CMAR, of the new replacement of Lafayette High School. 3.21, discussion and or action concerning the sales tax collection report for July 2021. 3.22, discussion and or action concerning budget to actual reports for August 2021. 3.23, discussion and or action concerning the grant fund summary for August 2021. 3.24, discussion and or action concerning bid award prepackaged school supply kits, homeless department, bid number 17-22. 3.25, discussion or action concerning bid award central office warehouse delivery truck, bid number 16-22. 3.26, discussion and or action concerning bid award outdoor materials and equipment, bid number 19-22. 3.27, discussion and or action concerning the approval of Resolution 09-21-2007 and adoption of millage rates for 2021. 3.28, discussion and or action Resolution 09-21-2008, employment of special counsel for environmental law and related issues. 3.29, Discussion or action concerning 2020-2021 final budget revision for applicable funds. 3.30,
I'm sorry,
discussion
Ms. Morrison, can we pull 29, please?
Discussion or action concerning budget revision for staffing.
Pull that one, please.
You have that one, Brad. That's the one you added. Can I read it? Don't you read it? Okay, item 331. That the board adds, let's see. I'm sorry. Which one you want me to read? Okay. Discussion or action concerning salary schedule revisions, related budget revisions, and athletic teacher job description. That's 3.33.
Madam President, I move that the board approve all items not pulled.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Centeni and a second by Mr. Lachele. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Nine for, none against.
Motion carries. First item pulled is item 3.1. Discussion or action concerning Resolution 0921-2009, dedication of Acadiana High School Athletic Field House in the name of David Clavier. Mr. Lachele.
Madam President, I ask that the board approves Resolution 09-21-2009, dedication of the Acadiana High School Athletic Field House in the name of Dave Cavalier, Jr. Yes.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Lachele and a second by Mr. Angel. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board?
Madam President, I'd like to ask that we allow Athletic Director Nick Jeffers to please read the resolution.
Absolutely. Mr. Jeffers?
You want me to do it? All right, I'll do it. Resolution 09-21-2009. Whereas Dave J. Cavalier, Jr. led a true life of service and revolved around education and athletics as a student athlete in his own right, as a standout collegiate track and football star at Southwestern Louisiana Institute, and whereas he would pursue a career in education upon completion of his degree from SLI, finding his calling in the form of molding the lives of countless young men and other coaches in the Scott area as the head football and track coach at Scott High School and later Acadiana High School. And whereas Coach Cavalier was known as a fierce but fair coach and highly competitive individual who focused on character building and teaching life lessons, which became the catalyst for his success during his tenure as a coach. And whereas Coach Cavalier would transition into administration and later become principal of Acadiana High School for 10 years, During his tenure as principal, he would be instrumental in hiring and mentoring every coach that a facility at Acadiana High School is now named after. And whereas Mr. Cavalier would further advance in his career, becoming superintendent of Iberia Parish Schools in 1986, being named Louisiana Superintendent of the Year while serving in that role. He would later accept a position at the State Department of Education before retiring. But he would continue to be a leader in education at Catholic High of New Iberia for 6 years and at St. Edward's Elementary School twice. And whereas Dave J. Cavalier Jr. would teach his players as well as his sons to be loving and responsible citizens, husbands and fathers, and his daughters to be strong, and his daughter to be a strong woman and caring mother. And whereas the saying goes and will remain, once a ram, always a ram, now, therefore be it resolved, the Lafayette Parish School Board hereby expresses its gratitude in honoring the life and accomplishments of Dave J. Cavalier Jr. And be it further resolved, the Lafayette Parish School Board declares the new athletic field house at Acadiana High School to be dedicated in the name of Dave J. Cavalier Jr. as the foundation he laid, created the path to success for what Acadiana High School athletics has become today.
All right. Any additional comments from the board?
I'd like to just take a moment. I don't know if any of Coach Cavalier's family was able to make it this evening, but the legacy he left at Acadiana, he was the very first head football coach of Acadiana. He was assistant principal when I got to Acadiana and principal when I left. Very dedicated individual. I first met Coach Cavalier the summer 1968. My cousin played guard for Scott High School, and I'd go with him to summer workouts. And he's the first taste I ever got as a coach as probably a second grader. And he was a fierce individual, but he was a winner. Very big part of Acadiana. You know, we talk about the Acadiana family, and I mention it often. He was part of the foundation that built this school, and the things that are still done there today. It had to begin somewheres, and he was a big part of it. And I feel blessed to have known him. I'm glad we can do this for the family. He just passed away a few weeks ago. Great man, great individual, great educator, and I think it's an honor that this building will carry his name, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lachele. So we don't have any family members that would like to say anything, or?
I don't think they were able to make it.
They weren't able, okay.
The thing about it is his son-in-law is our grandson-in-law is our head football coach now. The great thing about it, to understand Acadiana, Coach Cavalier was hired. He was part of the process of when Bill Dotson was hired. He hired his former quarterback from Scott High, Willard Hanks, who would become head coach of Acadiana. He was principal when Ted Davidson and Scott McCullough were hired. Ted Davidson would go on to become head football coach. And then Scott McCullough's son, Matt McCullough, is now the head football coach. And you'd think the story ends there. But Matt McCullough is married to Kristen Cavalier, who is Coach Cavalier's granddaughter. So that's why Acadiana High is what Acadiana High is today. And you know, coaches coaching, and I don't think some of the family members could get here because of work. But after the vote, we have the resolution here framed. If we could get a picture, Superintendent Trosclair, Coach Jeffers, and the board, I think that would be nice. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Lachele. Not seeing any more comments, we'll go ahead and call for the vote.
And while we're waiting on the vote, the actual name will be the Dave Cavalier Jr. Athletic Facility. Is the way it'll be named.
9 for, none against.
I want to thank all my fellow board members for making this unanimous. Thank you. We're going to have a very casual groundbreaking at 3 p.m. at Acadiana. Nothing, no suit and ties, just if we can avoid the afternoon thunderstorms. The sign will be put up and stuff, hopefully for some family members, but that'll be right before the first football game. So anybody that can make it, you're all welcome.
Okay, next item pulled is item 3.2, discussion or action concerning resolution number 0921-2010, dedication of Alvey Como High School track and the name of Thomas Nolan. And it was pulled by Ms. LeBeau.
Madam President, I move that the board approves Resolution 09-21-2010, dedication of the Alvey Como High School track in the name of Mr. Thomas Nolan.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. LeBeau and a second by Dr. Aguilar. Do we have any comments from the public?
And I know that we have a few participants in the audience. I don't know if you want me to read the resolution first and then do their comments, or if you want to speak first.
However you want to do it. You want to read first?
Do you mind if I read the resolution really quickly? Whereas Thomas Raymond Nolan was known as a loving son, husband, father, grandfather, brother, uncle, and friend to all who knew him, he was also a decorated athlete, teacher, coach, mentor, and an inspirational man throughout his life until his passing on October 22nd, 2007. And whereas Tom Nolan would find his way to Southwest Louisiana from New York, he would come to call Lafayette home after an impressive and accomplished career as a cross-country and track athlete at the University of Southwestern Louisiana from 1971 to 1976, winning the Southland Conference cross-country championships in 1973 and 1974, along with a mile championship in 1976. And whereas in 1978, Coach Nolan would return to Lafayette as an English teacher and cross-country track and field coach at Lafayette High School after a brief stint in Port Arthur, Texas. And whereas Coach Nolan would serve in the same role beginning in 1980 at Alvey Como High School, where he would remain a fixture there for the remainder of his 29-year career with the Lafayette Parish school system. And whereas his accomplishments would include 2 state titles, 10 district titles, and 2 All-Acadiana titles in cross-country, in addition to 2 regional titles, 8 district titles, and 8 parish titles in track and field. And whereas Coach Nolan would earn the 2007 LEF Teachers Inspirational Award and posthumously the 2008 Louisiana Track and Field Coaches Association's Lifetime Achievement Award, and was honored in 2018 by the same organization with the creation of the Tom Nolan Distinguished Coaches Award, which honors an outstanding coach that has made a difference in the lives of his and her student athletes. And whereas Coach Nolan impacted the lives of each and every individual he coached and all those who were fortunate enough to come into contact with him, he lived by the motto, "To give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift," while giving his absolute best each day of his life. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lafayette Parish School Board hereby expresses its gratitude for his 29 years of dedicated service, and be it further resolved that the Lafayette Parish School Board dedicates the new track facility at Alvey Como High School in the name of Coach Tom Nolan.
Thank you, Ms. LeBeau.
My name's Philip Guidry. I'm a former student athlete of Coach Nolan's. I graduated from Como High School in 2005. Whenever I first started running, I thought running was a punishment from the laps that I had to do by missing ground balls at Coach Jeffers' baseball practices. He can probably tell you stories. But and all jokes aside, Coach Nolan, I met him in 2004 in the fall, and a friend of mine introduced me to him and said, why did you start trying to start as a senior in high school? And I really didn't know how to answer that question, but he took me in nonetheless and helped me to get a scholarship to UL Lafayette. I went on to go to school in Missouri. I ended up transferring. I made it to the Nationals 3 times. And now I'm coaching high school track and field at Westgate High School. But I don't want to make it about me. The time that he took to put into my life, I was going through a lot of mental and physical abuse, and he took me in like I was a son, and I will be forever grateful to the man. Without him impacting my life, I would definitely not be on the path I am today. Miss Nolan's meant a lot to me in my life. I had her as a teacher in high school as well. Knew nothing of that I would one day be one of her husband's athletes, but the memories that I have under his tutelage, I mean, I'll forever, hold dear to my heart. And I think that this would be an amazing honor to have him. And, I know definitely he's down in heaven looking down. He was a man of God, and he's definitely guided me to be the man that I am today. So I ask that, vote for this, honor for this man. What a man he was. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments from the public?
Tom loved the sports of track and field and cross country, and he loved the students of Como High School who were his athletes. Coaching was a calling for Tom, and I'm not sure he would know what to make of this honor. His legacy, as beautiful as it is, doesn't lie in the arch that bears his name, but it lies in the lives of the students that he impacted and in the people that they became. I'm so grateful to Nick Jeffers and all of the colleagues and athletes that made this happen. I'm grateful to the board for allowing it to happen, and I'm grateful to 2 of his student athletes, Beth Moutonzi and Philip Guidry, for sharing this tonight. I hope one of Tom's former runners won't mind my sharing this tribute that he wrote. Coach Tom Nolan was hands down one of the greatest influences in my life. He coached and taught with patience and respect. He was a fierce competitor himself, but he never yelled or screamed. He just helped you look deep inside yourself and find and learn things you never knew were there. He was a great Christian man and led by faith and example. At 54 years old, I can say, this is the athlete, not me. At 54 years old, I can say that Coach Nolan was one of the greatest influences in the person, husband, and father I have become today. Thanks, Coach, for always loving us and pushing us to be the best we could be on and off the track. Thank you, Mark. Thank you all.
Any comments from? Yeah, I just want to see if you had any more comments. So we'd like everybody to come up and take a picture. Want to come up?
And I'll get a framed copy of the resolution.
Yeah, Mr. Booton, that's my ball. No. We'll go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and vote. You could just stay there. We'll just go ahead and call for the vote. Yeah. It's not up yet? Oh, oh, we all voted already? Okay, the next item pulled is item 3.5, discussion and or action concerning revisions of the Magnet Academies procedures. And it was pulled by Dr. Shasso.
I'd like to make a motion to defer this to the next meeting.
Second.
Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? I'll call for the vote.
The Mac Academy procedure. Yeah.
Nine for, none against.
Motion carries. Next item pull is item 3.7, discussion or action concerning proposed plan of reorganizing of staff and changes in job descriptions related thereto. And this was pulled by Mr. Lachele.
Madam President, I pull these 4 items to make it clear that my motions are to approve documents that are not attached to the agenda. They were handed out to the board and copies are available for the public. So with 3.7, my motion is that the board approves the proposed plan of reorganization of staff as set forth in the public content section of this agenda item and the related job descriptions as presented at the meeting.
Okay, have a second?
What's your reason for pulling it?
Have a
Pulled to make it clear that my motions are to approve documents that are not attached to the agenda. They were handed out to the board and copies are available for the public. That's what Tasha handed out.
Yeah, the second that we got, right? The new, this ones we got
Right.
tonight. Yeah.
Correct.
I'll second the motion, Ms.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Lachele and a second by Mr. Centani.
On there or something?
Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board?
Oh, okay.
Any comments from the board? Okay, Mr. Centani?
Am I, whoever's going to answer this question, I don't know. Am I reading these job descriptions correctly that if it's not highlighted, it's not changing? So, for instance, I didn't see any salary grades highlighted or anything of that nature. I saw some, changes in who the job reports to. So am I reading this correctly? Whoever would like to answer that. Thank you.
Good evening, board. I'm Tasha Dartes. I work in HR. So what happened with these 4 is when I was doing the different job descriptions for the various departments, the initial attachments, those highlights are what are changing or what is being asked to be changed. And then it came to my attention that I didn't, any of them that were on the administrative pay grade, I didn't change to degreed and certificated. That was voted on you guys last month. So this second set of attachments are the same things that were posted on the agenda, but anything that was on the administrative pay grade are now separated into degreed and certificated. So that's the only difference is what's in your hand versus what was attached.
So, Ms. D'Artes, so for example, Director of Planning Facilities has degreed administrative pay grade 11 highlighted. Director of Payroll Coordinator has degreed administrative pay grade 7. Is there any difference in the two pay grades? The one that the Director of Planning Facilities was on and the degreed?
Now it just says degreed versus administrative.
Okay. So is there any difference in the salary schedule itself is what I'm asking?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Just the names.
Any additional board questions?
Madam President, I just want to make sure the
Ms. LeBeau?
transformation. I'm sorry. The transformation zone administrator is now the transformation zone director. Correct? That's the only.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that because that's the only thing I saw. Okay, thank you.
Any additional comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. D'Artes.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it.
I guess, I don't know.
Nine for, none against.
Okay. Motion carries. Next item pull is item 3.8, discussion or action concerning revisions, the payroll coordinator, webmaster, and director of child welfare and attendance job descriptions.
Madam President, I make a motion that the board approves the revision to payroll coordinator, webmaster, and director of child and welfare attendance job descriptions presented at the meeting.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Lachelet and a second by Mr. Angel. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Good job.
Nine for, none against.
Motion carries. Next item pull, item 3.11, discussion and or action concerning proposed plan of reorganization of staff in the early childhood department and related changes in the job descriptions. Mr. Lachelet?
Madam President, that the board approves the proposed plan of reorganization of staff in early childhood department as set forth in the public content section of this agenda item and the related changes in the job descriptions as presented at the meeting.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Lachelet. A second? Second by Mr. Angel. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Nine for, none against.
Motion carries. Next item pull is item 3.12, discussion and or action concerning the newly created Migrate Education Program Facilitator, Instructional Technology Coordinator, Federal, and Content Instructional Coach federal job descriptions. Mr. Lachele?
Madam President, make a motion that the board approves the proposed job description for the new positions of migrant education program facilitator, instructional technology coordinator federal, and content instructional coach federal as presented at the meeting.
I have a motion by Mr. Lachele, second by Mr. Angel. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Nine for, none against.
Motion carries. Next item pull is item 3.16, discussion and or action concerning budget revision allocation for Lafayette Online Academies additions and improvements. Mrs. Centani?
Madam President, I move that the board defer this item until the October meeting.
I have a motion to defer by Mr. Centani and a second by Mr. Angel. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Nine for, none against.
Okay, next item pull is item 3.29, discussion and or action concerning the 2020-2021 final budget revisions for applicable funds. Mr. Centani?
Madam President, I move that the board reduce the transfer to fund balance reserve for OPEB account and transfer to capital improvement fund 1-to-1 technology line items to 0, and transfer 90% of the resulting unassigned fund balance to the self-funded construction fund committed for school sites renovation line item.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Centani. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Lachele. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board?
I'll be happy to just give y'all a little
please.
rundown. Sure. So in the the general fund budget revision number 4 PDF, halfway down the page there are a set of what appears to be 7 pending expenditure line items. And 2 of those are the ones that I referenced: the transfer to the reserve for OPEB account, 1.1 million, and the transfer to capital improvements fund 1-to-1 technology, which is another $1 million. I'm proposing that we zero those out, and then, which means the bottom line number of 2.311129 at the bottom will increase by $2.2 million, and we will be transferring 90% of that into the committed for school sites renovations line item in the self-funded construction fund. Happy to answer any questions.
Can you clarify the other 10%?
That's typically what we leave in there at the end of the year, just so we don't bring the general fund
Yeah,
down
I just
to
wanted to make
0.
sure everybody knew when you said 90% where the other 10% was going to go. Thank
It's
you.
going to stay right there.
I had a question. Why wouldn't we fund the OPEB line item?
I'm certainly not saying that we shouldn't fund the OPEB. I think, part of this is, and I got to catch Mr. Guidry and Mr. Duga before the meeting, but, I saw this last night for the first time, and this is being asked to spend many millions of dollars. I'm not concerned about the other expenditures because they're not really, like, the money's not going out the door and we can change our mind later if we wanted to. But these two particular expenditures are nearly immediate. And so I wanted to hold those back. And if we come back next month and we want to transfer it to OPEB, we can certainly do so. But it was just a little, not enough time to consider this amount of money that we're being asked to appropriate.
Would it be okay
Yes,
to ask?
hang on a second.
Okay, sorry.
Miss Mason?
Would it be okay to ask if our new Matt Duga about the OPEB not funding it?
Yes, Mr. Duga?
Sorry to put you in the hot seat. I was just curious about your opinion of not transferring this into OPEB at this time.
The reason it's in the OPEB is last year we transferred $1 million. So with the $120 to $180 million of debt that we might be issuing for Lafayette High and the other two, we're really it's a real selling point for the bond rating that we have the OPEB trust. And this is slightly more than last year, so I can actually tell Wall Street in our bond ratings call that we not only funded the trust, but we increased it, even though it's by a little bit. It puts a good shine on our bond rating, which is the highest in the state. And part of that, and we heard from the bond rating agency, I believe you had sat in on that, on the effect of having that OPEB trust. We're one of only, I believe, we were the second in the state. I think there are 6 or 7 others now, and quite a few that are probably coming online. But that puts us in a different category when it comes to bond ratings. So that's why that was in there, and that's why it was slightly higher than last year. So when we make the call to Wall Street, we can say that we not only funded OPEB trust, but we increased it an additional $100,000. That was the philosophy.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Any other board comments or questions? Dr. Sasha?
Just a quick statement. Hey, with the transfer of the SFC and the CIF, with that being 7.5 million and 3.5 million, granted, I know it's not leaving out the door, as Justin says, but if any of that COVID inflation contingency money is slated to be spent, if we could find out about it ahead of time.
Okay, you'll see I'm assuming a budget revision, right, and you'll see it coming from that contingency. Okay. So, and I did speak a little to Dr. Shaston earlier today on another issue about the inflation, post-COVID inflation that we're seeing. Yeah. So the estimates you're seeing, we have $45 million in projects that are currently going under bid. We know those are under bid by at least 20%. It's probably more like 28. We're seeing some as high as 40%. I was hoping that would correct itself over time, but with $1 trillion infrastructure bill coming out of Washington, I mean, I just don't see that happening. They're going to be spending money on concrete, steel, all the stuff that's out there. How fast can we produce that kind of quantity? I just don't see it correcting itself. And rather than come to the board with every budget being under budget, we can pull the money from here and you'll see it in the budget revision. Okay.
Ms. LeBeau?
Just one question. You said 100,000 earlier. It's that 1.1 million, correct?
It's 100,000 more than we did last year.
Oh, I see. Okay. I'm sorry. When you said that, I just didn't know if that was that full number. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional board questions or comment? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Six, 4, 2 against.
Okay. Next item pulled was item 330, discussion and or action concerning budget revisions for staffing. Justin?
Madam
Sorry.
President, it's okay, ma'am. Madam President, I move that the board defer item 3.30 and direct staff to return with a manner of designating this position as temporary to be removed once ESSER funding has been expended.
Okay, I have a motion by Mrs. Centeni and a second by Mr. Lachele. Any comments from the public? Any comments from, I'm sorry, Mr. You're the public? Oh, that's all.
Sort of, kind of.
I don't want you to be the public.
Excuse me, sir, you're not the public just
No.
yet. You're not the public yet.
Mr. Guidry?
I'm sorry, but that was to make them temporary positions?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mrs. Centeni.
What I think I'm shooting for here is to have this position go away once the additional workload that is resulting from the ESSER's funding is no longer there.
And so I just wanted to make mention of the fact that initially when we went through the job interviews for the position, it became very clear very early on that, and it gave us a very strong sense that almost immediately after the individuals would accept these positions, their resumes would be out looking for permanent positions. Our concern is that we're looking at $118 million of expenditures, and to have someone leave at the front any time during the process before it gets closed out is going to put a very significant burden on our accountants who are permanent. When looking at the grants that have been added over the years, that continue to get added, that are recurring, capital projects, so on and so forth, the reduction or elimination of a permanent accountant's position 3 or 4 years ago in a budget balancing effort, we feel that restoring that position, we'd have no problems keeping that individual whatsoever busy, and at the same time address our concerns of the individual who would have been hired for the temporary position leaving before that project is or projects are complete. So I just wanted to make mention of that. Those are our reasons for requesting it be permanent. It addressed two concerns. One, what I mentioned initially with regards to not keeping them on, and secondly, the workload and the increasing workload over the last few years is there. So to make the position permanent, the funding is there. The additional grants that are generating indirect costs would more than pay for the position. In the past, we've used those indirect costs as offsets for other areas. We're just asking, in this case, that it be used to fund the positions that are actually generating those revenues to assist us with the increased workload and our concerns about the individual leaving before the grant process is completed. So just want to share those comments with you all. Thank you.
Mrs. Centeni?
Thank you, Mr. Guidry. I appreciate those comments. So maybe we read a little too much into designating this position as temporary, or I could have used a different word. I don't know what the answer is, but temporary in my mind could be 2 years, if that's how long it's going to take us to expend the money. My concern is that we wouldn't have, so we would be creating a permanent position for what is necessarily a temporary condition. But now you just said that you feel like we need to restore this position that was cut a couple of years ago. So do we have a workload problem normally, or is this for ESSER's funding work that needs to be done?
I think it's a combination of restoration to address increase in the number of grants that are in fact recurring, unrelated to ESSER. But by the same token, we could use this position, this permanent position, to still address the needs in the area of ESSER. The way we had it set up,
So let me go ahead and just fill in. So my concern is that we're justifying creating the position by saying indirect cost revenues that are being generated by all grants will offset the cost of both positions. And that's fine. So my concern is when the indirect cost revenues that are being generated today are no longer being generated, we will be shifting the cost to the general fund, and it's not a surprise to anyone that this is a problem over the years of grants paying for employees to implement programs, and then the grant ends and the employee stays. So my concern is, and if temporary in this case means 2 years or whatever gives comfort to the employee that they'll have a job for 2 years, I'm happy with it. I'd like to at least explore a mechanism for matching an employee to handle additional work for a period of time that's being paid for by revenues from a grant, to be matched up some kind of way so that the employee is not needed anymore once the work goes away. That's my point. So whatever creativity you guys need to go through to come back with a proposal that recognizes that while also tries to meet your business needs, I'm happy to support that. But that's my concern. So thank you, Ms. Morrison.
Sure. Additional board comment? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Nine for, none against.
Motion carries. Last item pulled was item 3.33, discussion or action concerning salary schedule. We didn't pull it? Oh, we already voted on it. Oh. I was having so much fun.
Mr. Lotchley, we didn't do the 3.33. We did.
Yeah, we just added it and it was not pulled. Okay, no further business. I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. You're welcome.
All right.
I'm happy to adjourn this one.